All right, well, good morning. Welcome. We're very excited to have this opportunity this morning to hang out with everybody and get to learn more about our fabulous candidates. And so today we're going to spend a little bit of time asking some questions. And as our member owners are rolling in, give an opportunity for some of them to ask questions. So without further ado, I'm going to hand this over to my dear friend, Eliza, who will be guiding us through this process and guiding the candidates through the order of questions and the type of questions that we'll be having.
Thanks, Colleen. I'm Eliza Kinsey, and I use she, her pronouns, and I am the board secretary. This is my third year, about to start into my fourth year of board service. And I'm excited to hear more about all of you today and learn about your interest in joining the South Philly Food Co-op board. So we are going to start with some introductions. I think you all saw in the email, but if you would like to take 2 minutes to introduce yourself, share your name, your pronouns, a little bit about who you are, and then maybe tell us a little bit about why you'd like to be on the board and why the South Philly Food Co-op is special to you. No need to touch on all of those, but those are just some suggestions for your 2-minute introduction. And we are going to start with Molly. Actually, I'll give you the full order now, and then we can go through. So it'll be Molly, and then Brendan, and then Singh. Am I saying your name correctly? Yeah. And then A, and then Mally, and then Beckett. We'll start with Molly.
Hi guys, I'm Molly Devlin. I use she, her pronouns. I live at 12th and Mercy, so I'm right around the corner from the co-op. I am in there probably 2 to 3 times a week with my husband for groceries and, when you forget things. So I wanted to join the board because I love the co-op. We have been here in South Philly for almost a year now, but I've been in Philly for almost 8 years. My husband's been here for, 15. And there's just no place like this in the city that I've run into. I used to live in Queen Village. They had a great health food store, but it was not like the co-op. I think that this place is so much more than just a place to grab food. It is really a place that combines 2 of my passions, which are food and community. And I really think that it serves our neighborhood so well. It has healthy food options. It has a great treat selection. I'm a big treat person. But also it's just like a really good meeting place. I feel so warm and welcome when I enter there. I know that I'm going to have a great experience. It's just so much more than a grocery store to me. I also love how we give back to the community every month with a new, nonprofit or community organization to really help, ingrain ourselves in the community and make it bigger than what we are. We are working together with so many different organizations in the neighborhood. And I just think that that is so valuable and so important, especially, living through the pandemic. We need to support each other. And this is a great way to do it. I think the co-op really supports the neighborhood and supports everyone who is a member owner and beyond. And I really want to be on the board because I love the co-op. I want to see it thrive, and I want to be a part of ensuring that it thrives. My husband and I plan to stay here for a very long time, so we want to make sure that the co-op does too. Yeah, that's a little about me.
All right, Brendan.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. My name is Brendan Duffy. My pronouns are he, him. I moved into South Philly about almost 2 years ago at this point, back in 2020. I originally grew up in Delaware County. I down on the 2500 block of Carlisle, so 19145 zip code. I like to be on the board because I think as Molly already alluded to, it's such a special place for the community. It's a place that focuses on sustainability and bringing in local food sources for for the community to be in, where historically there really hasn't been that option. I think that's really important, and also supporting the community by giving good jobs to people in the community. So I think those 2 things are huge to help support and help flourish. I think that's that's kind of what makes also what makes South Philly Co-op so special to me. I think, Lori and the team do such a great job of, creating a community. And, I'd like to do my, small part in helping that, continue and help that, flourish. So that's why I like to join the board and why I think the co-op is a special place.
Thanks. Thanks.
Hi guys, my name's Singsi. I grew up in South Philly, and so the South Philly Co-op has always been means a lot to me to have a community-based grocery in our community and neighborhoods. So why do I want to? So one of the reasons I want to join the board is how can I make the South Philly Food Co-op better? So to achieve this is based from my business education from Penn and Temple, I want to make it better. So by joining the board, I could use my business education and make the grocery thrive and even better to serve the community through making the food more accessible and more affordable. And that's one of my main goals for wanting to join the board. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Next is A.
Hey everybody, my name is Anthony. You all can call me A, first letter of the alphabet. That's how my name is going to show up on the ballot. My pronouns are they, them. I am running for re-election to the board of directors to serve another 2-year term. So I was elected by you all, thank you, in May of 2020 before our store opened in December of 2020. I'm a proud Midwesterner. I'm from the Chicagoland area. I've had the opportunity to kind of move around a bunch and be a part of co-ops in other cities. My background is in organizing, specifically in multiracial working class communities, as well as queer and trans communities. I've done that work on electoral and legislative and issue campaigns, as well as within membership organizations similar to co-ops and now in city agencies. Right now, I'm doing a lot of sort of like operational equity work. So helping improve the relationship between institutions and the communities they serve, as well as improving employee experience as it relates to sort of facilitating that relationship. I love South Philly. I love our co-op. I think that what we're doing together is really special. And I see us owning and operating the store together as an opportunity to really actualize our shared values. And I also see it as a vehicle for transformational change in our community and our economy and our local food system. So I've been totally humbled and honored to be a part of the board over the last 2 years. I would love to continue to be a part of the board in the next 2 years if you all would decide to re-elect me. I'm super excited to be in this space, super excited to meet these other wonderful candidates, and definitely second everything that they have said. Honored to be here and among the rest of them. So thanks for your consideration.
Thanks, A. Mally is going to go next.
Hey, my name is Mally Romanowski. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a communications professional who works currently for an anti-hunger organization, but in the past I've worked for government. I've worked on campaigns as well. I've lived in Newbold with my husband for about 5 years now. And we really found that COVID blurred. We found the co-op over COVID, and it was such a wonderful thing for us. It was great to find a place where we could find local fresh food. It was nice that they were really building community. And as I found out about the candidate, elections, I really wanted to put my name in so I could do what I can to help the food co-op and grow community in South Philadelphia. So, yay.
Thanks, Mally. And last, we will hear from Beckett.
My name is Beckett Woodworth. My pronouns are he, him, his. Just a little bit about me. I grew up in a mostly single parent household. My dad taking primary caretaking responsibilities. When my mom began struggling with mental illness when I was a kid, I understood how difficult it was to sustain a family on a single family income. And in fact, after he was laid off from his publishing job, he started working back into his roots at grocery stores, most recently working at Whole Foods. And my family and I, when I was growing up, really struggled to live in a single house and moved 12 times before I was 18. And I'm just so lucky and thankful to settle in South Philly, where I bought a house on the 1700 block of South 13th Street. I came to Philadelphia about 10 years ago to attend college at LaSalle University up in Northwest Philadelphia. I became really involved in student orgs, becoming president of the Student Government Association and an RA for upperclassmen communities. I have more than 6 years experience working in Big Four accounting firms, PwC and KPMG, and recently graduated from Temple University's law school, attending in the evenings while working full time so I could pay for living expenses and tuition. Thank you. I want to be on the board of South Philly Food Co-op because I think this is a really incredible turning point for the co-op. At the macro level, we're seeing inflation and food scarcity really affect a lot of people because of the pandemic, the war in Ukraine. And in our community, even though people are seeing increased wages, I think a lot of us are seeing how inflation and increased food prices are kind of turning those temporary increases upside down and leaving a lot of people behind. To me, South Philly Co-op is just a lot more than a grocery store. It's special to me because it's driven by more than just profit. It has a mission to build up our neighborhood, foster financial independence, and keep money in South Philly. I really want to be a member of the board because I believe I can offer a unique set of skills, and I'm really determined to make a difference in our community. Thanks.
Thank you all. Really nice to hear a little bit more about all of you and your backgrounds. So we're now going to move to the next question, which is if you would each take 2 minutes to tell us about a skill, interest, or passion that you have that you would bring to the board as a member of the South Philly Food Co-op board. We're going to switch up the order for this question. So we will start with Singsi and then A, Brandon, Beckett, Molly, and then last but not least, Mally. So Singsi, would you like to kick us off?
So my name is Singsi. My background is in business, and so I attended Penn and Temple for business in finance. So I believe my skills in finance will ultimately help the South Philly Co-op achieve its financial goals. And the second really the reason is how to make the store a better place for the community, to serve the community, making it more accessible and more affordable for the South Philly residents. So that's my ultimate goal, and I wanted to combine my interests and skills to make this store even better.
Thank you. A, like to go next.
Hi again. So I am really passionate about increasing the power that everyday people have over the systems that impact our lives. So I think that, collectively owning our store together is a really good example of just that, by allowing us to center ourselves, our neighbors, our shared values within, our local economy and our food system. So instead of, money being extracted from our community and funneled up toward big corporations, we get to invest together right here in South Philly. And I'm excited to be running for re-election to the board because I think that, what we're doing together is really a radical opportunity to reclaim agency over our lives. Over the last 2 years, I've had the opportunity to be a part of the team. And so I think I have a sense of kind of how my skills and interests fit into the rest of the team. In my opening statement, I mentioned that I'm an organizer by trade. So I think that I'm good at, facilitating meetings and managing relationships, organizing events, sort of standardizing processes. For example, with some members on this call, as well as other members who aren't here today, over the last 2 years, I've been working to sort of build a sustainable outline for how we organize general membership meetings, as well as board of directors elections, although certainly not this one as a candidate. I also am a content strategist, so I've done quite a bit of writing for the co-op, both for the board and the store. So some of my copy has been in digital newsletters and our website, and I've also written promotional materials for in-store and for events. And then I've been serving on the board's governance committee and working really closely with our secretary. So I think that I have a good sense of, our internal organizing systems, as well as our ends statements, which are those goals that we're working toward together, and our policy register and bylaws.
Great. Brendan, I think you're next.
Thank you. Yeah, and first I want to say it's so cool to hear everyone's, talents and perspectives and passions. It seems like it's a really great group of people who are running for the board this year. So really happy to hear that as a member. So first, my passion is, and I've, quickly alluded to it in the intro, building sustainability. And I think, the South Philly Co-op's the perfect, mechanism to get that started locally. My skills, I think what I bring and what I can bring to the co-op as a board member is, financial expertise, in my job as a financial auditor. So Beckett, shout out to PwC. That's where I'm at right now. I am a external auditor. So what I do in that role is, help organizations in their financial reporting and, high level get a good understanding of businesses. So I think I bring that level of expertise, and especially as a CPA, I can bring that knowledge to the organization. I think this year, through helping out the finance committee at the co-op, with Chad and team, and then bringing my knowledge there, I think I have a good foundation of what the organization is and what the organization can be. And through helping, I've had the opportunity to help Lori out a little bit with some of her, financial reporting. I think I can, with that level of, knowledge already, I think I can really hit the ground running as a full board member and can really, help bring us to the next level on that front in our financial reporting aspect, because, that really can be a starting point for, if we can find efficiencies there, we can really do things like bring up wages, get the best prices. And those are the ways that we're going to make the highest impact. And I think you can start there. And I think I would be a great person to assist in that along with the rest of the board.
Thank you. Beckett?
As I kind of alluded to in the introduction, growing up aware of my family's financial situation, I became passionate about learning the intricacies and nuances of America's finance and legal system, and learning how inadequate they are for so many people. Really learning about when you live low income or paycheck to paycheck, can be really hard to learn how to learn financial skills like investing, saving, and taxes. Studied these things because I wanted to build wealth for me and my family, and I really wanted to help others do the same. I think, like Brendan, my work in Big Four accounting has made me literate in how to read financial statements like income statements, balance sheets, cash flow. And also through my experience in student leadership, I see myself as a pro at public speaking. I'm very experienced in leading meetings, speaking at college events, commencement. I've spoken at the World Meeting of Families in 2015. I've been quoted in television interviews and even newspapers like the Philadelphia Inquirer. I'm also entrenched in local politics. I was recently elected to represent my neighborhood as their committee person in the 39th Ward. I agree with so many people here that I strongly believe in building community, that bringing people together, we can really achieve big things. And I'm excited about the future of the co-op, what it means for South Philly. Also aware of how so many families who have set their roots here for generations, kind of are feeling a little uneasy about all the new people moving in, seeing higher prices, seeing new restaurants or new things like a co-op coming in that maybe they don't know about or understand. I really feel like South Philly Food Co-op can offer like everybody everything. And I think everybody can find something here.
Molly?
Yep. Hi again. So in terms of skills, I have a little bit of a different background than some of the people on this call. I work in healthcare and pharma, PR and communications. I do media relations. So I am really good at talking to people and herding a lot of cats. I have a lot of clients across the globe, so it requires really good communication skills and also being really organized and knowing who you need to chase for what you need. I think I'm pretty good at talking to people. I used my skills this morning on myself to media train myself before I joined this call, so that I was prepared. And I'm happy to extend those services to anyone else who needs them. But yeah, I do a lot. I also, I manage my client budgets. I'm the steward of quite hefty budgets over the year and responsible for making sure that we are hitting the targets and that we are not going to run out of funding for the activities we need to do. So I am pretty aware of that kind of angle of finance. And then also my job also makes me a really good problem solver. I work with scientists and journalists, and they both have a lot of different agendas and a lot of different needs. So I thread a lot of needles throughout the day, trying to make sure that I'm connecting the right people to the other right people. I also love volunteering. I do a lot of canvassing for Planned Parenthood. I was a poll watcher for Liz Fiedler this past Tuesday. I loved it. It did get a little spicy in the morning, but I think I communicated my way through it. And by the end of my shift, the opponent representative and I were having a good time. So yeah, I love to be involved in local politics. I'm hoping that I can take that a little bit further this year. And then in addition to passions for the community, I also love to bake, which just a little bit more about me. So if I am elected to the board, I promise I will always bring you a treat. But yeah, I'm just so excited to have this opportunity to be a bigger part of the South Philly Co-op, because I just feel like it's so valuable to me, and it's so valuable to all of my friends that live in the neighborhood. It's so different than anything that you normally run into in terms of a grocery store. It's so much more than that. So I just think I want to be a part of taking it to the next level, and I hope I can do that.
Mally.
Yeah, so I have always been interested in food systems from my time with the New Jersey legislature. I wrote a lot of legislation on trash and how we deal with food waste, to my time now with hunger organization, writing legislation to try and get more money for school meals and things of that nature. So I have a background in government, I have a background in communications, and I have a lot of advocacy experience. So I feel like I would really bring that to the board, as well as my organizational skills and kind of my ability to get things done. I am not a public speaker like the rest of you, but I have always been able to use my words generally in the written form to communicate what I need. So yeah, that's what I bring.
Thank you all. This is an incredibly talented and impressive panel of candidates, and I was really excited to hear about all of your different skills and passions that you would bring to the board. So the last question that we're going to do, and then we'll open it up for any other questions that attendees or all of you have for each other, that's also fine. So the last question is, what do you feel the co-op brings or adds to the community? And since a lot of you have already touched on that a bit, I'm also going to add that if you want to talk about something that you would like to see happen at the co-op, that you could imagine being part of as a facilitating as a board member, feel free to answer that as well. And for this question, we will go in the following order: Beckett, Mally, A, Singsi, Brendan, and then Molly. So Beckett, would you like to kick us off?
Of course. So I think we all know co-ops provide a lot of standard benefits to communities, like local ownership, local spending, rootedness, accountability, resilience, and kind of sensible development in our neighborhood. I think traditionally co-ops don't have as high of a success rate as like traditional grocery stores. Traditional grocery stores like Acme, ShopRite, Whole Foods have so many more resources than we do. They have a big name, they have a big brand, and suppliers that can offer them lower prices than us, for example. I think since we're entering kind of uncharted territory with higher prices, especially for food and housing, the co-op has an opportunity to show that we're more than just a big chain. We offer more services than Acme does, offer different kinds of services, just more than food. I think we're already doing that, but I think what we should focus on is kind of in the long run, building financial independence, building wealth, building a community of healthy eaters, but also savvy investors, local entrepreneurs, building up supporting local businesses, which we're already doing. I guess I think that South Philly Co-op can just bring a lot more to the community than a grocery store, and we should really lean into that. We have the opportunity to make something bigger and better, and it's a turning point. And I guess I'd like to end by saying I would be honored to be part of the board and just be honored to be part of that. I think there's a lot of big things that can happen.
Sorry, my space key wasn't working to unmute. Mally, would you like to go next?
Yeah, so I love the co-op so much. I love that it is in our neighborhood, walking distance. I love.
Mally, we're having trouble hearing you. Are other folks having trouble too?
Yes. Let's try.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I love the co-op and have really made it a large part of my life. I love being able to walk there. I love the discounts and community with local stores. I love that we are helping our community in Philadelphia and connecting with schools around. And I really love the roundup thing. It's the absolute best at the end of the day. But I think one of the biggest things we could do is continue to build community. I know that there have been a lot of membership opportunities lately, like learning about how to compost and things like that. I think creating events like that would be an incredible thing to keep doing. You know, maybe going gleaning as a group or learning more about compost in town. So yeah.
Hey.
Everyone, so I am a system thinker, and I spend a lot of my time sort of, because of my values and work, existing in the tension between the world as it is and the world as it should be. So like the world as it is, I'm sure you all are well aware, is specifically designed to be fundamentally inequitable and unjust, right? It extracts from us, it exploits us, it excludes us from decision-making that impacts our lives. Whereas like the world as it should be really prioritizing our collective liberation. It should be prioritizing our well-being. And I think that part of how we do that is really shifting power back toward everyday people, back toward people with lived experience, and placing those most impacted at the center of decision-making. And I see that institutions like ours, co-ops that place member owners at the center of decision-making, are important so that we can, make collective decisions about the health of our community, our local economy, our food system. And I also think that, that process, the process of sort of being in collaboration with one another is important for offering us an opportunity for healing from the harm and the trauma of the systems of oppression in the world as it is, right? The world as it is today is difficult and it's challenging. It doesn't always feel good. And so I think that, our work really reimagining what's possible for our community is an opportunity to lean into the celebration, the joy, the hope for something different for one another. I also think that, our co-op offers like an important a space for exchange. And yes, I'm talking about a transaction between, money for food, but way more importantly than that, I'm talking about like gifts that we give one another, right? Like gifts of sustenance that keep us alive, gifts of survival and story and love and relationship and culture. And I think that our co-op is a special place where that can happen. And those things have no monetary value, right? They can only ever be gifted. And so being in community in that space, I think is really, really important.
Thanks, A. Singsi.
Thank you. It is my hope that South Philly Food Co-op is able to achieve its goals and missions, that is to serve the community in South Philly. So what I hope is in the future, the co-op is able to make the food more accessible and more affordable for the residents. So it may take a few years to achieve that goal, but things that are worth doing takes a while. So I believe in that. Takes some work and hard work. And I believe that Food Co-op is able to serve the community through beyond just food, but through community binding activities. So that's able to bring our community together more closer. So that's my hope. And thank you guys.
Thank you, Brendan.
Yeah, thank you. I think there's really three things when I think of, what does the co-op bring and add to the community. Just thinking through the different stakeholders of the co-op, right? We have the members. And I think what the co-op does a great job of is, providing simply providing a grocer. When you just look at the geographic layout, what we have is, big box stores like your Acme's and your ShopRites, kind of surrounding the outer rim of South Philly, and then you have, South Philly Co-op. So I think simply it does a great job of providing a grocer. And I think it also, along with that, provides community like everyone's talked on already, which really doesn't exist at other, big box grocery stores. And I think, secondly, when you think of the, vendors that we're supporting, I think South Philly Co-op does a great job of prioritizing local producers. And I think that's really important to support our community. And then thirdly, with employees, I think, South Philly Co-op does a great job of making an effort to provide a livable wage. And I think that's, paramount. If a organization cannot provide its employees a livable wage, it shouldn't exist. And I think we do a great job of pushing towards that mission. And I think the answer to, things that we can continue to do in the future, I think that's twofold. One, continue to develop partnerships, bring up our community along with us, make it a win-win situation, continue to find new partnerships within South Philly. And then secondly, continue to push for, increased wages. And I think that happens through financial success. And I think that's, an area where I can support the co-op in. Continue to find areas in which we can create efficiencies so that we can support our employees, support the co-op. So I think that's where we differentiate ourselves as a grocer and where we can go in the future.
And Molly.
Yeah. So in terms of what the co-op brings, I just think this place is incredibly valuable, not just because, it does make money, we have a livable wage, but also because it is a community-oriented space. And I feel like those are sometimes hard to find. And this one is just, it's right here. You can visit right off the subway. I love that it's so accessible. I think that's really key. And I know that was a big part of deciding where we would be located. And I just think, as people have said, it's more than an Acme, it's more than a Whole Foods. Like, they have enormous budgets, they have plenty of people going there, but do people love Acme like they love the co-op? I don't think they do. And I think that is one of our key differentiators here. And as a board member, what I would like to do is always be available to listen for anything that's working well or anything that's not working, big or small. I am here to listen to our other member owners and hear their needs and make them feel heard, most importantly. In terms of things I'd love to see moving forward, I'd really love to continue to grow like local producer relationships. I love the local produce that we have. And I lived in Queen Village for a really long time. So I went to the Head House Farmers Market a lot, and I loved some of the vendors there, and I'd love to see if we could connect them to us. Because they're such lovely people, everyone from Blooming Glen to, Greigstown Farm, which I know we do stock. And I just think it would be great to kind of make that local food more accessible in South Philly, because not everyone can jump over to the various farmers markets where it's 1.5 miles to Head House or 1 mile to Dickinson Square. Like, it's not an easy walk, especially in the summer. And then I'd also love to see some of the more community oriented events, like the cooking classes and the composting classes, because I think it's really important to offer those activities, but I also think it's really important to use those activities to elevate members of our community who might have a special set of skills that they want to share with people. So I think really platforming the people that are so active in our community will only help us grow. And then from a personal, what I'd like to do as board member additionally is I think I'd be pretty good at trying to onboard new members, encouraging people to talk more about the co-op, really getting the word out. I mean, I'm a communicator, that's what I shine at. So yeah, I would be truly blessed to join the board. And I just know that the co-op is doing great things, and I can't wait to see what happens over the next couple of years.
All right, thank you all for sharing such thoughtful answers. And we are now going to open it up. I know there's not a large audience here, but to any audience members who have questions, that includes current board members. And we didn't discuss this in advance, Colleen, but I think it would also be okay if candidates have questions that they want to pitch to the group, because you're also member owners and you get to vote in this election as well. So yeah, is there anyone who would like to ask a question? Feel free to come off mute and ask, or if you feel more comfortable, you can type the question in the chat box. And just to say, any candidates who are running, there's no obligation that you answer any question, but you're all welcome to. There's plenty of time if folks want to answer the question.
I have a question. Hi, I'm Chad Hooper. I'm the board president. I use he, him pronouns. In our election this year, there are more candidates than there are board seats. And so my question is that the person who doesn't join us in this board cycle, there would be an opportunity for that person to still serve in support of the board as a member of one of our committees, either the board's membership committee or the board's finance committee. And I was just wondering if the candidates wanted to speak to their interest or willingness to serve in that capacity if they were not elected as directors in this cycle.
I mean, I can go first. If I wasn't elected, yeah, I'd love to join the membership committee and help really expand our reach. I love the co-op. I'm devoted to it. Either way, I'd love to be on the board, but I also want to ensure that it grows and supports the community in every way possible. So I'd be very open to that.
Just like Molly, I'd be very happy to join the membership committee if I do not become a part of the board this year.
I'll step in and agree. I think part of my reason for running also is graduated law school a week ago, Thursday. So I have some more free time on my hands. I really wanted to get more involved in my community and just help out in any way I can. The title doesn't matter to me, so any way I can chip in with finance or membership.
Yes, that is certainly true for me too. You are not able to get rid of me that quickly. But yeah, I'd be happy to serve in either role. I think I have a familiarity with the membership committee, but also realizing that we have some total whips running for election who can serve and teach us a lot in the finance space too. So either one of those would be great for me.
Yeah, I'd second what everyone else is saying. I also, was a part of the finance committee in that kind of more volunteer role this year, and I thought it was a great experience. Maybe next year I'd switch to the membership committee to get to see that side of the co-op. But yeah, I would definitely do it.
Yeah, similar to everybody said, I'm more than happy to help the food co-op. That's part of my goal for joining the food co-op.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, I do actually have a question.
Hi,
Hi, Fred. Hello. Hello. Wait, I'll come on video for 1 second. Just a fast little morning hello. Okay, so I think my question to the candidates would be like, how to say, and I say this as a former board member and as someone who's very interested in cooperatives of all kinds, and certainly different like ownership structures have different sort of governance implications. Worker owned cooperatives, resident owned housing cooperatives, we're a consumer co-op here. So I think I'm curious to ask the candidates, like, what do you foresee as the strengths and also challenges of the consumer owned governance structure? I can type that in the chat.
I can go first. I think of a few folks who I've talked to. Well, I think one of the benefits of co-ops is by, you contribute $300 or however much money for the co-op, and you become a part owner. With that, though, I think traditional finance and kind of the stock exchange or whatever, any other system of where you have part ownership, you're kind of expected to receive dividends or have some sort of shareholder, I don't know, input, whatnot. I think that is a huge strength to a community like this, because it shows everybody kind of how finance works, just kind of by being involved. But I think some people will eventually expect to receive some sort of dividend or payment at the end of the day. So kind of being involved in the co-op, I hope that it has a really strong future. And I really do hope that at some point we can show that we have a lot of extra revenues coming in, that we're really successful just business wise. So I think that's a huge strength.
Thank you.
I can hop in on this as well. I think a strength is, simply put, with the co-op, you get the buy-in. You get the buy-in from the community. But I think at the same time, a challenge, and I think, you can see it here, we have, I think I was member 1,500, right around there. So I imagine it's only gone up from there. I forget the present number, but, with 11 participants on and 6 being people running for the board, I think a challenge can be getting the active participation of the whole membership so that we can actually get a understanding of what the co-op as a whole really wants and really needs. So I think that's definitely a challenge that we'll need to continue to, and I don't think it's something that can fully be solved, but something to work towards to get that active participation of everyone.
I think for me, one of the biggest strengths is, as everyone said, the community buy-in. So everyone feels really invested. I know I personally do. A lot of my friends who are members also do. I think that is just something that ensures that the co-op will continue because people care so much about it. I think in terms of weaknesses, I think it can just be hard when you have so many member owners. I don't know what our count is at right now, to make sure that everyone's needs are being met. I think that is just a challenge of basically doing anything on this scale. So I think in terms of trying to address that, as we said, as Brendan said before, getting that engagement, but also making sure that the people who are guiding the co-op are really listening, they're making themselves available to the people who might have concerns or new ideas and things like that. So I think overall it's stronger. And I think the weakness is really just making sure that everyone gets what they think they need out of this.
Yeah, I certainly agree with everything that's been said, and absolutely the strengths outweigh the weaknesses would not be here today if that were not the case. I think that there's a tension that I feel in cooperative models sometimes, especially consumer owned models, in that we still exist within a capitalist economy. And so we can strive for we can strive for lower costs and higher wages. And those things are important, and we absolutely need to be striving for those. And also our ability to work toward those goals exists within boundaries and parameters, because we have to operate within capitalism as well. So I think that offers a really unique challenge, especially because if you think about the co-op community as a whole, even our national networks exist within the capitalist system of our economy. And so building solidarity across co-ops is incredibly important. I think in one, and it's one way that we can start to work toward, building that or breaking down the barriers that prevent us from achieving some of our goals. But yeah, that's a tension that I specifically feel and think a lot about, and just wanted to elevate here.
Yeah, Emily, you asked a great question. When I analyze the strengths and weaknesses of the food co-op, I see the main weakness is getting the financial and revenue to grow and to strengthen. But in terms of strength, the main one is the being able to have a higher, greater mission and value, that to serve the community. So that's one of the things that differentiate us from the corporate super grocery markets. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and I think the food co-op is doing incredibly right now. I think there are a lot of strengths, but I think one coming challenge will be something we've all referenced, rising food costs. You know, what is going to happen to a place like the co-op when prices are astronomical everywhere? And it's really about building community. It's really about communicating to people about why we're here and what we're doing. And I think that that's going to be one of the biggest things we need to work on in the coming years.
Thanks all. I think everyone had a chance to answer that question. Am I right? So unless there are any other burning questions, I was going to take facilitator's privilege to ask our final question and close us out. I'll give everyone a second.
There's one more question.
Sorry.
Go
Yes,
ahead.
Emily. Yes, you may.
Friends, nope, I'm not going to apologize. I'm going to say thank you for this space because I got another spicy one. I'm just really well caffeinated this morning, throwing them your way. Okay, so I think my spicy one, and this again, speaking as someone who had the pleasure and privilege and challenge of serving on the board and feels really passionately about this organization and our community. Like a couple things, Molly, I think you named like this sort of, you know, represent the challenge of like representing sort of like everyone's needs interest. So in this question, I'm actually going to speak as just like one member owner, as someone who has like, you know, there are two ideas that I often float with and imagine thinking about our cooperative. And the crux of my question to you all as candidates is like, when you hear me say these things, how would you think about responding to me or others like me as a member owner? That's going to be the crux of it. So, so two things that I often think about in the co-op. One is, you know, I asked this question on like this particular governance model and the ownership model. Something I often wonder and dream about, to be clear, I'm not advocating for in this moment, but I'm curious about, is like, what if the South Philly Food Co-op shifted toward a hybrid ownership model where we were half consumer owned and half worker owned? This has been done by Central Co-op out in Seattle when they merged two locations into one organization. They have a solidarity ownership model. So the board actually represents consumers and workers, which you can imagine, given what you said of like these sort of like inherent tensions, is like, we're actually representing those tensions at the governance table and figuring out how to make it work. So this is like, that's one thought I have as again, with the North Star intention of like, could that produce greater you know, equity, again, a bigger sense of stake for the actual employees who are day-to-day running our store, less distance between this like consumer representation and then, you know, the workers are far away. Those are all the motivations behind it. Curiosity. That's one. The second that I think of sometimes is like knowing the challenges of pricing, which again, felt in the wider world. We are not unique, though we do have particular challenges as a physically smaller grocery store. Something I think about is like, you know, could, should, would the co-op ever invest in like possibly even another place on Juniper Street, like a larger facility for even more storage, to be able to store a higher volume of non-perishable or even, again, refrigerated perishable goods so that we can buy at higher volume, lower cost, and like pass those cost reductions onto our shoppers. I say this, of course, as someone who like, I have no idea how feasible it is. I have not done the deep research, anything like that. But I think a question there is like, what is your relationship to risk, to your curiosity to like explore bigger, bold ideas? again, kind of within like both of those two very random ideas that I named and I'm not advocating for in this moment, but I'm curious to hear you all as candidates reflect and say like, how would you think of or conceptualize those sort of maybe like bigger, riskier ideas, right? How do you hold those? Thank you for hearing the big questions.
Before anybody answers, I just want to say we're going to do 5 minutes on this question, and then I want to end on a quick popcorn style fun question. So everybody make these answers brief so we can end with something. No offense, Emily, it was a great question. We're just going to end on a fun, light note at the very end.
I can try to hop in on this one. So I think for your first question on the hybrid model, right, of course, we would need to do much more research on it. But, first thing I would think of is just, how would that protect the, financial sustainability of the company itself? Like, first thing that popped in my mind was like, the liquidity of this all as employees move in and out. Are we, how would that sort of equity model work? And I think just requires more research. And then, for investing in another property, I think we'd first need to see if, we can handle that sort of turnover in our inventory to see if we have that sort of demand for that much space. And then, maybe think through some alternatives if we're, getting into some, rather than buying more space, maybe getting into some longer term contracts to hedge our costs, to, try to get to the same end goal, but maybe not in the means of investing in another property. But I think both questions would require, some good research first. Thanks.
Yeah.
Jump in. Or hey, if you want to go.
Go ahead, Beckett.
Sure. So Emily, I think your question is so interesting because it brings in a lot, but I think I'll just focus on like the risk part. Like, I guess I think what you're looking for is like how, like whether we're wanting to move forward with like big, bold ideas, even though they might be like risky. Or I guess in the way I think of it as a young person, I was always kind of taught to respect authority, people who have more experience than me, kind of defer to them. But also as a young person, I've seen how people in positions of power for a very long time have not done as great of a job as they think they do, or kind of need things to be shaken up in order to like really move forward and progress. When I was student government president, one of the things I really advocated for at LaSalle, which is a Catholic university, was gender neutral housing and bathrooms. The student population was super enthusiastic about it. The administration and alumni was not. And the alumni and donors were the ones who eventually shut down the idea and the progress that we made. And I think with any big changes, you need to think about the old people in the room, the young people in the room, and kind of how to make everyone happy. But at the same time, like, I think justice and surviving for a long time and being profitable and being a good business that works for everybody is I think the core of the co-op and our mission. And I think big, bold ideas are really what we need. And yeah, I'm willing to push for those, even if it upsets people.
Yeah, all here for causing some tension. So in that way, Beckett. Also, yeah, super appreciate what you're saying, Brendan, about research. I certainly think that's true. I think like two things that I just want to name are like investigation and process. So what I mean by investigation is like inviting you, Emily, into this work with me to start talking to other member owners about if this is something that folks would be interested in, and if this is a solution that we think that we could collectively stand by. And to your point about consumer and worker owned, definitely going into the store and talking to employees about it. So doing that investigation through, one-on-one interviews, focus groups, et cetera. My other point is about process, right? Like making sure that the way in which we get to these solutions, it actually upholds our values and our collectivism. So wanting to be in community and make collaborative decisions together and be able to hold tension and conflicting opinions at the same time. So wanting to kind of investigate, our policy register to figure out, like, if we were going to even present this stuff, what's the process through which we go to get to that endpoint? And how do we do that in a way that actually invites people into the conversation with us instead of just kind of like steamroll the board to make decisions for the collective as a whole? So those are 2 points that I would really want to lean into in asking these really, really big questions. It's just like doing that investigation to make sure that this is something that we want to do together, and then ensure that we're doing it together in the best ways possible.
Yeah, I really agree with you. I feel like you kind of read my mind. I'm a big research person, so I would approach both of these questions kind of similarly. I would want to, for the first point around the hybrid model, I would definitely want to talk, to the workers, see if this is actually something they're interested in, what they would want out of it as well, so that we could design the program to meet their needs as well as the consumer needs. And then in terms of the extra space, I was actually thinking about that the other day. So you also read my mind. I think that's something that we would really need to evaluate in terms of where we would want it to be, how close does it need to be to the co-op? And do we think as a whole, this would help keep our prices down, pass on cost savings to the consumer? I'm all for a big idea. I love a big idea. I have proposed to clients to bring an ice cream truck to a medical meeting. They didn't buy it, but I did propose it, and they did like that I brought it to the table. But I always try and base any strong recommendations grounded in research, grounded in talking to people that this is going to affect. So I think in terms of, tackling these very thorny, big picture ideas, we'd need a lot more involvement, and we'd want to be sure that we are, again, that central tension of trying to meet everyone's needs, but making sure that we're doing the best we can for everyone who is a member owner and the community at large.
Thank you, everyone. We are at time, so I just want to do a really quick, and if folks need to jump off, obviously feel free, but we'll just do a quick popcorn style. Share your favorite place to visit or activity in Philadelphia. And I will start. Everyone who's here is welcome to participate, and then just pass it on to the next person when you're done. And my favorite place is Bartram's Garden. And I will pass it to Mally.
I love being at FDR Park. It's my favorite place.
Mally, can you pass it on to someone else?
Sorry, A.
Yeah, so there's this like little itty bitty, it's like one lot and it's between homes, and it's just like a nice little green space. It's kind of by Lower Moymensing, like by Dickinson Square, just a little bit past there, and it always feels like a secret to me. So I like it there. And I'll pass it to Mita.
I like walking along the Schuylkill Walkway with my dog, because there's a dog park there, and I love being near the water. So I will turn it over to Molly.
I really love going to the barns. My grandmother was a big Impressionist fan, and she was a painter. So going there really reminds me of her, and I just love being overwhelmed by the art. And I will pass it to Beckett.
I really like East Passyunk. All the restaurants and food. Food is something I love. And I just wish I could eat all the bagels in East Passyunk every single day. Cool. I'll pass it to, who hasn't been yet? Brendan.
Hey guys, sorry about that. My meeting cut off. I believe the question is, what's your favorite place in South Philly?
Yeah, somewhere to visit or activity in Philadelphia.
I would say Gerard Park up on 20th and Porter is a favorite place of mine. 21st. It's a beautiful park, a lot of trees, really quiet. A nice place just to walk around. And is there anyone else that hasn't gone yet?
Colleen, you want to go?
Sure. One of my favorite activities and places to go is Eastern State Penitentiary for their haunted house. And I look forward to it all the time. And I really hope that it comes back. And I'm going to hand it over to Sing.
My favorite place would be the South Philly Logo Library. I'll pass it on to Elijah.
I already went. Is it Chad? Are you the only one who hasn't gone yet?
Oh, I guess so. I don't go anywhere, so no.
The home.
The co-op, everybody. What are you
Oh
talking
my God.
Chad wins the prize.
Yeah, no, the co-op's awesome, but I'm also often getting drunk at Fountain Porter, which is also really great. So I recommend both of those places. But I go to the co-op first to keep it professional.
Thank you, everyone. These were some great questions and really interesting conversation. I'm going to let Mita close us out by just sharing a few words about an event that we have going on today. And thank you all for taking time on your Saturday morning to be here.
It was so lovely hearing all of you and seeing all of you, because you have so much to bring to the table, each and every one of you. And being on the board, or even if you don't make it to the board, we are a family. And then by getting to know the people in our community, we grow that family by volunteering and talking to people. So right now, the Lower Momensing flea market is going on at Broad and Snyder. I was there from 9 to 10, and there's a canopy, so I know it's hot outside, but if you would like to stop by, I invite you to go and see who's stopping by and point them to the co-op and get to know the people and share our ideals and our values, and have a great day.
Beautiful.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Voting
everyone.
is officially open, so be on the lookout for an email from Helios. And our general membership meeting is June 1st, and we look forward to seeing you all then. Thank you so much.